Okay, this quick video is just about classifying triangles. Sometime in geometry and usually junior high, we're talking a lot about different types of triangles. And now we're just going to classify those into certain subgroups. So there are really just two ways you can classify triangles. One way is to classify them by sides. And another way is to classify them by angles. And I'm sure you've done this before at some point. So, for example, by sides, we could have a triangle that has all different sides. Okay, so let's say you have a triangle that has all different sides. And I'm going to just show that they're all different because I'm going to just write different numbers on them. So I'm going to call this 2 centimeters, and then this one right here would be like 3 centimeters, and then this one will be 4 centimeters. Okay, this type of triangle is called a scalene triangle. Scalene means all different sides. Okay, we can also have a triangle that has 2 sides that are equal. And usually you draw it I'm going to draw it a different way than I usually see it. Okay, on this one, instead of putting numbers, I'm just going to put these little tick marks showing that those 2 sides are equal length. They could both be 10, they could both be 1, but those are equal length. And since I didn't put on the third side, that means that that third side is not equal length. This is called an isosceles triangle. Isosceles. I almost wrote it, spelled it wrong. Isosceles triangle. Now, an isosceles triangle, the 2 sides that are equal are called the legs, and the one side that's not equal is called the base. Okay, the last type of triangle is one where all the sides are equal. There's really only one way to draw this. And I'm going to put the tick marks again on all 3 sides. And so this is an equilateral. Equilateral triangle. Okay, let's go over to by angles. Okay, the first kind of normal type that was a special type of triangle would be one like so. And this would be a right triangle, has a right angle in there. Now at the right triangle, you have one 90-degree angle. You can't have 2. Because at this point, you should know that all the angles will add to 180 degrees. So if you had 2 right angles, that already adds to 180, which is not enough for a third angle. Okay, we also have one that has an obtuse. This would be obtuse. Has one angle that is bigger than 90. I'll say that this is maybe 110 degrees. Now I know it's obtuse. All it takes is 1. Now the third type of triangle would be one where you have all these angles are smaller than 90 degrees. Now, we should be able to look at that triangle and realize that these 3 angles each are all smaller than 90 degrees. But just to double check, I'm going to write in here angle measurements. I'll call this one 50, and I'll call this one, and this isn't going to be on scale at all, 60, which is 110, which means the other one would be 70. Definitely not a scale drawing. But since all of them are under 90 degrees, that would be an acute triangle. They all have to be under 90 to be acute. Because these other two types of triangles, both of those are definitely obtuse, or sorry, are definitely acute, and these are also acute. So only one angle to make it right or obtuse. And that's a general idea of classifying by triangles. A few side notes here. I'll write these in black. First, an equilateral triangle can also be equiangular. Because all three sides are going, or sorry, all three angles are going to be 60 degrees, which makes that an acute triangle. An equilateral triangle is also equiangular, is also acute. Okay. Also, we can they can be classified by both at the same time. For example, this right triangle, if I called this 3, 4, and 5, say, inches, which would work by Pythagorean theorem, they also has three sides that are not equal. So therefore, it would also be a scalene. So this triangle would actually be a right scalene triangle. But it just depends on how you want to call it. If you want to label it, classify it by the sides or angles or both. Okay, another good example might be this isosceles over here. Looks to have three angles that are all less than 90. So this could be an acute isosceles. Okay, if we got really imaginative here, because this is definitely the case when you look at it, but let's say I just threw on 2 tick marks here, which tells me that those two sides are equal. Well, now that would be an obtuse isosceles. Be it both obtuse and isosceles, so an obtuse isosceles. So it can be both. You could classify them by both, but those are just the names we have for different types of triangles.